Well, this time, sadly, the Rangers didn't get it done. Dave Maloney, the youngest man to ever wear the C, joins us right now. Mr. Maloney, sir, first of all, sorry they lost. Second of all, what exactly happened? How did they drop this one?
Well, I think at the end of the day, as you look back, the two leads that were blown in Ottawa were real decisive. And I think the best player in the series was Erik Karlsson, and he made a difference. When a big play had to be made, he made it. And, you get down to this part of the season, at this time of the season, and a lot of things being equal, are you going to have somebody that can make a play? And Ottawa did. And having seen Karlsson now over the course of 6 games and 10 nights, whatever it was, he's pretty special. He was special in this series. And from a Rangers standpoint, their game breaker is their goalie. And Henrik, not that he was poor, but he got outplayed. And the problem at the end of the day is Henrik can't score, right? So you get a game breaker that makes a difference. All things being equal, the Rangers are out in 6.
What's next for this Rangers franchise? Is it a team that window is still open to compete in the Eastern Conference, or is it a team that has to look to rebuild for the future?
Well, I think there was a retooling, obviously, went on a year ago. And they got it up close and personal with Pittsburgh being who they were. And I think they made steps towards kind of getting to where the game is heading. That being said, this Ranger team, since 2012, has played the most playoff games in any team in the league. And the thing is, they're not getting any younger. And particularly in their own end of the ice, I think they have to, once again, address that area and see if they can't get a little bit quicker, a little bit younger in the back end. But that's the work for certainly Jeff Gorton and his staff. And, this Ranger group came into the season, I'm not sure what people expected from them, but 102 points in the second round, you take it and you learn and you move on.
Former Ranger defenseman, member of MSG Network, Dave Maloney with us right now. So, Maloney, one of the questions that we've all had is, Henrik Lundqvist is about to be 36 years old. How many more years can we, see him stand on his head between the pipes?
Well, I mean, he's certainly the valuable player that he's been. But you're right, the franchise has been privileged to have the most important position manned by Lundqvist. That being said, time does march on, and the Rangers are going to have to figure out a way to move on. At a certain point, certainly they're hoping later than sooner. But 36 is 36. He's a very competitive guy. There's no question. But the window is closing. So I know that there isn't a guy in that Ranger franchise, from the front office down to the training staff, that doesn't recognize how important Henrik's been. But you know what? The reality is they're going to have to figure out a way to be a little bit deeper and not have to rely on Henrik, when basically what they've done for 12 years.
Dave Maloney with us. So, Dave, the expansion draft is looming, I believe, June 21st. What can we expect as far as the Rangers? Like, who do they have to protect? Who could they possibly lose?
Well, the guys that are vulnerable are Michael Grabner, Nick Holden, I believe Oscar Lindberg, and Jesper Fast, and Antti Ranta. The guy I would hate to lose would be Fast. He just does so many things. He's just priced so right. Nick Holden had a tremendous 80% of 82 games, 65-game season. I think Las Vegas would take probably a hard look at him. He's priced right. He's a veteran defenseman. But from a Rangers standpoint, Holden at $1.6 million, he certainly worked for their cap. So you can only lose one player. Those would be the guys. The issue they're going to have is continue to figure out where they're going with guys like Dan Girardi and Mark Stahl and those contracts, and where the game is going. And between now and next season, it'll be interesting to see how all those little things play out.
Even though the Rangers have been bumped down some great hockey tonight, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Washington Capitals. What do you expect in that matchup in the Eastern Conference?
Well, we talk about outlier players, and Crosby's certainly that for Pittsburgh. And I'm not sure he's 100% healthy since getting whacked by Niskanen in Game 2. If he's not 100% healthy and not the impact player that Pittsburgh needs him to be, I was pretty impressed with what Washington did in Game 6 in Pittsburgh. And until Washington wins, there'll always be that boogeyman hanging over them. But I think the key tonight is to see how does Crosby look? How is he playing? To me, he drives that whole process for Pittsburgh. It's a good story there. So it's worth a watch. But if Crosby's not the marquee guy for Pittsburgh, I think you're in trouble.
Do you believe the Stanley Cup champion would come from that matchup, or could we maybe see the Oilers and Ducks later on tonight, one of those two teams being the favorite later on for the Stanley Cup?
You know, I wouldn't put, the way this thing is unfolded, can't count Nashville out of this story either.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
That Nashville team is a good team, and Pekka Rinne's playing well. They've got a tremendous back end, and so I wouldn't count Nashville out. I mean, it might be a bit of a magical mystery ride for Edmonton. I do think Edmonton can beat Anaheim, and then if it's up for grabs coming out of the West, but I wouldn't count Nashville out of this story either.
Dave Maloney, I got good news, bad news for you. Bad news, the Rangers are done. The good news is you don't have to hear from us for a while.
No, it's like a rite of passage in spring. So to be able to talk to you guys, you do a good job up in the Albany region, and no problem at all. Please don't hesitate to call, and hope you all have a great summer.
All right, Dave, thanks for being there for us when we need you, and we really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy a little bit of free time.
All right, buddy. Take care.